Alright, we should be live. I'm just gonna make sure that's popping up because I just changed something. Um, there we are. Perfect. Alright, letting a couple people trickle in. It looks like people are finding it. It should be showing up in the same thing. So,
Cool.
anyways, welcome back. Constant videos all day long is the plan. Um, Thank you all again for joining, and Barry Renshaw is on with me now. Barry is a name that I think I've seen many times. We've opened a lot of cases, and I think his name has popped up quite a few times. Um, so, Barry, why don't you go ahead and tell us? Sorry, I'm trying to plug this in so we don't lose the feed. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, maybe a little bit of your background with art, and what was your first set with Tops?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm from Liverpool originally. I live in Manchester now, which is about 40 miles away from Liverpool. Art-wise, I've always been drawing, like a lot of other people have been saying before. For me, Star Wars and comics have always been entwined really from the beginning. So my earliest memories are a Star Wars comic. I'm from about the age of 5 or 6. That was kind of the only thing I was interested in doing, and turns out the only thing I can do as it is draw. So I'm quite lucky. And then through the years, done the college thing, done the university thing. It's only the last few years I've been doing, well, last 2 years really, been doing the cards for Tops. I've been doing a lot of comics before then, so that's really been my background. Some film stuff here and there, storyboards and things like that. But it was purely because I saw a friend of mine, Jamie Richards, who was doing his own cards. Um, I mean, for years and years, I've always seen the cards being advertised in the comic shops and things like that. And see Dave Dorman and Just Drews and all these amazing artists through the years, and thought I'm never going to be able to get to that point of be working for Star Wars. It's a dream come true. So I just asked Jamie, if there was a contact email, and luckily he sent it over. And I sat on that for about 3 months because I was terrified of being rejected. It was like, the worst thing is to be told you're not good enough for something that you love. Um, so what I did during those few months is I actually started to draw. Say normally working at A3 size, which is try to remember in inches is 11 by 16 or 17 inches comic size. So to draw down to 2.5 by 3.5 inches took a bit of getting used to really. So I drew a few samples, emailed that off to them, and I genuinely thought I'll never hear anything again, or if they do get back to me, just be like a polite no thanks type of thing. But within 2 weeks, they got back to me and he said, "We like your stuff and we want you to work on the next set," which was like, fantastic. So I did a bit of a dance. I had to make sure it was real. And then first set was Galactic Files in 2018. So I've done about 6 or 7 Star Wars sets for them since. I've done a couple of others, Stranger Things, uh, TMT, Turtles, and a few other bits and pieces as well. But it's been mostly Star Wars since then.
Yeah, hey, that's awesome. Galactophiles 2018. I think you were actually so far the first person who said that one was your first set.
All right,
Um,
okay.
yeah, at least for the people that we've talked to in the last day and a half. There's been a number of other sets where there's usually one or two people that have come from that one, but you're the first one to say 2018 Galactophiles. Um, Now, what was the most recent set that you worked on?
That would be from perspectives. So that was mostly about Rise of Skywalker on that one. And on the list, as far as I know, for Holocron. So I should hopefully be with us in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Now, Galactic Files, that was a little while ago. It was probably what, like a year and a half ago or so, maybe 2 years
Yeah.
ago. How has your artwork changed or progressed since you first started with Tops to now, most specifically, at least in regards to the cards?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first set that came through, it was, it's one of these things that you don't want to muck it up at all. So they're kind of precious, really. So it took a while to actually knuckle down and do the drawing. But I consider that, you know, this is my first set. It may well be my last, so I'll just do all the characters that I really, really like. My daughter picked the artist proofs returns so that we keep them. If that was the last set, then at least there'd be some kind of nice memento for it. So it really was a mix of just doing pencil sketches to start off with, and then later on, as I was doing the set, and got a little bit more comfortable with it, and also learning how the card reacts to certain materials as well, because certain cards aren't always got the same finish on it, and therefore paint and ink reacts a little bit different depending on what the surface of the card is. So I learned I could do watercolor, just like washes on top of it. So from that, it was mostly from the sets going forward. It was a mix of either watercolor and pen and ink, using micron pens, which you may see a lot of people use. These are usually quite fine, and a mix of watercolors, and then one or two sets I did just like pro markers. So the cheaper versions of Copics. Copics are quite expensive over here. So pro markers are like a disposable, cheaper variant. You get like a pack of 5 for £10. So usually you'd use them up in a set. That's how fast they go. But I'm going back more towards, because of my comic book work, I've been doing a lot of painted work as well in the last couple of years. So it's a natural thing to go from now to doing watercolors again still for the cards, and just get as much detail in there as possible. Because, you know, from my point of view, as someone who's followed these artists through the years and I've really looked up to them, you appreciate the time and effort people put into them. But also you appreciate the fact that people are paying money for these. So you want to put as much effort and detail in as you want to, as you would expect as a fan yourself. So, yeah, it's a little bit more confidence as time's gone on. And I think for the next set, I'm going to start introducing vehicles and ships, which I've not really done before, mostly because of the limitations of the size. I want to try and get a lot of detail in there. A lot of it's been kind of portraits or head and shoulders, occasional two shots and things in it as well. So, yeah, as long as they keep sending them to me, I'll keep on doing them.
Perfect. Now, do you have a? It seems like you've used a handful of different mediums. Do you have a favorite that you like to use?
I think watercolor, because you can build up layers and layers of color over time, provided you don't go too mad with water. It won't damage the card at all. If it warps slightly, which sometimes it can do, it's easily, flattened out in the book. So it's no problem that way. But there's a lot more delicacy involved, I think, so you can get a lot more delicate shades involved with it. I mean, I've seen some of the other artists do using oils and acrylics, and outstanding. The amount of control that you would need to use those materials at that scale is, for someone who tries to do it, they understand how difficult it is. It really is outstanding. For me, I just find it a lot more controllable to use the watercolors.
Yeah, that's cool. I think one of the most common answers is the Copics markers. Has been one of the most common. I know some others have dabbled with watercolor, but you're the one I think who's first said that it was one of your favorites to use. Yeah, something that I think is really cool across all of the artists is that you guys all use similar or the same mediums. You're drawing the same characters, yet your art always comes out different and unique,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool. Now, I was going to say, I went and grabbed one. This one was actually given to me as a gift. It's from, it looks like, I believe, Empire Black and White. Did you do that one?
I did, yeah.
So, this is the one that someone gave me, and so I wanted to ask you, I asked one other person yesterday, I think, do you remember every card? I mean, obviously you probably can't recall them off, and recite them, but when you see it, do you remember all the cards that you did?
I do. I mean, it was a big set for me, that one, because I really wanted to get on board with the anniversary set. So at the A New Hope 40th anniversary set, they did the black and white as well, I think. So I got on board just in time for Empire. And I really, being an original trilogy kid anyway, it was important for me to try and get those big sets involved as well. So I did Empire and I did Jedi. But yeah, also just using purely black ink for that one. If I remember rightly, that's just pure black ink on that one. Which again is mostly a comic book tool I would use, so like normal dip pen and ink. So, but the pen I showed you before, so the dip pen for anyone who's not actually seen them. I don't know if you see that. It's quite a thin line. You get about 3 or 4 different variations of it, so you can get like hairline thin line on it sometimes. Um, but the brilliant thing with Vader, Vader's one of my favorite characters to draw because, and I've noticed this with watching The Mandalorian recently as well, is that you don't need an expression of a face to show emotion on the character. It's just the tilt of the head, the way it catches the light, the way Vader's been designed um, delivers so much character and emotion with doing very little. Just a slight tilt of the head will say all you need to say with it. So you could draw Vader till the cows come home, and you never get bored of doing it because there's so much variation that you could do with it. So you see, he's one of my favorite characters to do.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's a really cool perspective. You know, to be able to express an emotion with no facial features, is really really cool. It's some, I mean, obviously I can't do it, and most of us in the card group who aren't artists, you know, we can't do that kind of a thing. So that's cool that you were able to bring that to us. Do you have some work handy that you can show us a little bit more of your style?
Yeah, sure. I'll show you some of the cards which have up in the booth at the minute. So these are ones which are already gone, but it shows the kind of style which I generally tend to use. Hopefully, you'll be able to see that. Okay. So Vader and the Emperor. Oh, is that okay?
Did someone just buy that?
He did, yeah, about half an hour ago or
Yeah,
something.
I was gonna say I recognized that. I saw someone comment. I went and looked. I was like, "Dang, that was a cool one."
These are the next couple have gone as well. So Cody or the 66. Close up of Cody. I love drawing. I say generally helmets are always fun to draw because every film has usually got something new to add. Um, so another one that just went, which is the layer Black and White Empire. Um, Yoda is another one of my favorite ones because he is difficult to draw because he's one of these things where the wrong line here and there can completely throw it out and you lose the likeness of it. A few more of the black and white ones. So I generally tend to find, I don't know if anyone else has said this at all, but the younger an actor is, or a younger portrait you try and draw, the harder it is actually to catch the likeness because there's less on the face to hold on to when you're
Mm.
drawing. So years ago, when people know that you draw, then they start asking you for dog portraits or portraits of the granddad and things like that. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the older the person is, or the more distinctive a face, the easier it is, I find anyway, to kind of draw them. So someone like Adam Driver, though he's actually quite young, he's got quite a distinctive face,
Mm-hmm.
so he's quite easy to draw. Where somewhere like uh, is Billy Lord,
Mm-hmm.
he's quite young. Um, so she's got quite a distinctive face, but because she is so young, it's quite difficult to nail the likeness on it. Young
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is quite difficult as well.
Yeah, I was gonna
Uh,
say you kind of. I think what you did is a couple people alluded to it, and you really hit the nail on the head with that one, um, because a handful of people have said Daisy Ridley's a little difficult to draw,
mhm.
you know, and some of the other actors just because, and they said because they couldn't grab anything off the face to really
Yeah,
make it, you know, it was a very smooth face or something, not a lot of unique features. But what you just described was because they're a little bit younger. There's less, you know, there's less to grab. A lot of the reason because of that, and as they age, it becomes a little easier. So that's, you know,
mhm.
that's some great insight.
I think a lot of that has to do with again from a drawing perspective. When you're drawing someone, you're looking for the depth in the face, the shadows, where the wrinkles are, and things like that. So obviously, the older you are, the more depth you might have in your face, more wrinkles and so on. So the light and shade, the contrast is a lot easier to catch. Whereas if you've got quite a young, smooth face, there's very little contrast there for the shadows, unless it's really dramatically kind of lit. Um, but yeah, again, and that kind of again goes back to drawing helmets and things like that, which are all different planes and shapes and things like that. So there's a lot there to grab hold of too when you're drawing it.
Yeah, and actually, somebody just commented. They said that somebody yesterday said that Adam Driver was actually a difficult one for them to draw.
Oh yeah,
While having a unique face, they said because he looks so different from different angles.
yeah.
Um, but you know, I've heard people say Yoda is difficult to draw, and Yoda's their easiest to draw, and so it's cool to hear, you know, all of your perspectives and what you find challenging or a little bit easier than others. Um, All those cards that you just showed us now, are those available, with the exception of a couple of them?
Yeah, except for the first few. Yeah, there's also a few more which I haven't added on yet, which I'm going to do. Which is yeah, I'll show you this one. So that's a Rex. Um,
Very
um,
nice. I like Rex a lot.
a boss from. I'm a massive fan of Republic Commando, the game. So when he
Yeah.
was introduced into Clone Wars, I was absolutely made up because it means we could get to draw them. Because usually things like that are out of bounds. But um, say, love me helmets, Recco Hardin. I love
Yeah,
that
these
helmet.
are these are fantastic. I got to imagine we've got some like clone trooper collectors and stuff in the group. So I'm sure that Gregor and stuff would appeal.
Well, speaking of Gregor,
Oh, look at that! Wow. Yeah, because I
that's
there's you don't see him that often.
I know.
Um, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
again, one of my favorite episodes. That one from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I was gutted when he died. Uh, but yeah, so I'll put them up in the booth in a minute. I can show you as well some of which I'm working on for later on. Um, but these are half finished, but gives you an idea of this kind of scale which I normally work at. Apologies if this isn't
Mm.
like the Vader watercolor. So that's A4. So that's 8 by 11 inches in old money. And I'm just doing a waiting for this to dry, and it'll be another one which will be a hopefully this one.
Oh,
And I thought,
very nice.
um,
I actually had the poster hanging behind me from
oh,
that
cool.
same image. Yeah, I had that on Friday.
As well. So I'll be doing a few more in that kind of style. So do another Rex because I love Rex, the Mando, and a couple of others I think later
And
on.
are
Yeah,
those watercolor?
yeah. The watercolor on 300 USM paper, so it's quite thick paper, actually
Mm.
thicker than most cards. So, um,
And those are gonna be available.
yeah, yeah. So I'll finish those off a couple today and another couple tomorrow, and I'll put them up on the booth for people.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I pulled up your booth and I saw a lot of those scans of the cards that you were showing. I didn't see the Gregor, the Pano.
Yeah, I've not added that one yet, but I will. I'll add that. I'll add them on in a bit for you. So add them up to the booth if people want to buy them.
That's a very very cool card. What set was that from? Is that like Galaxy or something?
Sorry, that is. Uh, oh, it doesn't actually say on the thing. It might be Galaxy. I'll have a check.
I was gonna say I think it looked kind of like Galaxy. It was the longer instead of
Yeah, it
the tall one.
might be Galaxy. Yeah.
Um,
Usually,
but
usually they'll have it on the back, but they don't have it on that one.
yeah,
But yeah, I'll put details up on that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, we'll probably try to wrap this one up here a second. We've got a lot of artists coming up, so we got to try to stay on schedule. But
Yep.
um, you've got some really, really incredible art, Barry.
Oh, thank you.
Like I said, I've seen a lot of it pop up. We ripped like 18 cases of Empire Black and White, and I know you said you did a lot of cards for that one, right?
Yep.
So I know for a fact that we've had quite a few of them pop up, which is always exciting. I love, when we pull a card from somebody who's been in the group. Um, and yeah, I mean, certainly post some of this stuff up. I know that Vader and Palpatine's gone, which is kind of a bummer because that's a very cool card. I'm a big Vader fan as well. That Gregor's really cool though, because I just you don't see Gregor very often. Um, and the Reiko Hardin. I mean, I'm a big fan of Clone Wars, so
Yeah.
being able to see some of that stuff that you don't get to see as often is a lot of fun. Um, but are you taking at least on your booth? It still says you're open for commissions. Are you still taking commissions?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. If anyone wants anything specific, just send us a message. I'm more than happy to have a chat with them.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, guys, for those of you who haven't already made your way over, I find it hard that you haven't found the event yet. But if you have not found the event, certainly go check it out. It's in the TSWCCT group in the events tab. Make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. The entire event page is dedicated to the artists and their booths. Um, so make sure to check those out. And that's all you're going to see is a ton of fantastic artwork. Barry's already got his booth up. He's already been interacting with everybody, and got tons of scans up, and he's gonna add more. Go check out his booth, check out his artwork. I encourage you to, if you can't buy a card, you can't buy a commission, at least drop a comment with some positive words of his artwork. Um, yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to mention to everybody before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone on the group because they've been brilliant. This is the first, I've not been a member of the group for that long, really. I've only just recently found out about the last few weeks or so. And really been kind of welcomed with open arms. So I'm quite thankful of that. And also to yourself for putting so much work in. But also, most of us artists are pretty sensitive and kind of delicate. So it's nice to get praise every now and then. And no, we're not just kind of operating on our own in a little room somewhere. So it's really nice to know that people appreciate what we do. And likewise, we appreciate the fact that you're supporting us in that kind of way as well, keeping an eye out for our work. So I'd like to say thanks very much to everyone for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do a real quick screen share and run through a
Yep.
couple of your scans on the booth real quick. Uh, the I saw the C3PO was the first one pop up. Cody, execute in order 66. Do you remember? Are these all in watercolor? They kind of look like they're in watercolor.
Yeah, they're all watercolor and ink. So the uh, the ink is usually the ink which I draw with the microns are all waterproof ink, and then just watercolors on top of it.
I just pulled up the Palpatine at the opera, and you nailed that one. I mean, it looks just like him. Um,
He's a brilliant one to draw. The kind of smirk in his eyes. It's when you've got that, it's quite satisfying.
so yeah, there's a ton of great stuff here, and if you're liking the style but you're missing the character you want, reach out for a commission, and certainly get a character you're looking for. But hey, Barry, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome to the group. Again, I know we've seen your name come up a lot, so glad to have you here. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know. But enjoy the rest of the day, and I'm sure we'll be bumping into each other again soon.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.